Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Anthony Wade. It's April 17th. And for today's episode, we are going to the realm of the stupid natural. There is a growing segment of the apostate church that, deals with such lunacy that you would think that it would be like low-hanging fruit, right? I mean, think of like Kat Kerr level lunacy. Kat Kerr is the pink-haired lady who claims that she's visited heaven over 50 times and saw the spare body parts room, and you get reunited with your pets and all sorts of other nonsense. So for this episode, we're going to be discussing somebody I don't think I heard of before. His name is Micah Turnbo. And Micah was a guest on a podcast by somebody who runs the Deep Believer channel. And her name is Jennifer Bagnashi, somebody else I never heard of. The Bible says that the broad path that leads to destruction is wide, and the narrow way that leads to life few find. And sometimes I think we gloss over these verses and not realize exactly what that means. Is the vast majority of people who ascribe to some level of Christianity, whether it be the apostate version of the NAR Dominionist Church, or Word Faith, or Prosperity, or False Signs and Lying Wonders, or Hillsong, or Bethel, or Elevation. You're talking millions and millions of people. And the lunatic fringe of that, the Kat Kerr fringe, if you will, is contributing quite heavily. So this video that caught my attention on Charisma today, and again, Charisma running it, all you need to know about Charisma News, is that Micah Turnbo claims, I guess, on many of his trips to heaven, that he met King Solomon. I'm not kidding. I wish I was. And the exchange between him and Bagnashi is just absolute Looney Tunes. And lest you think, as we're reviewing this, that it doesn't matter, Micah Turnbo has close to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. And if you think that's bad, Jennifer Bagnashi has 191,000. The path that leads to destruction is broad because there's a lot of people on it. If you know anybody who's subscribing or ascribing to this nonsense, I sincerely hope that you are able to break through to them, because they will be standing before Jesus saying, "Lord, Lord," like in Matthew 7. So keep that in mind as we're listening to the lunacy, that somewhere out there is 200,000 people who thought enough to subscribe to these two channels. The video itself, I think, is like 2 hours long. We're not going to be reviewing anywhere near that because I don't think I can tolerate it. We're jumping in right at the point where he starts talking about King Solomon.
Oh, Solomon, I saw other kings.
You saw Solomon? I was going to ask you that. You did see Solomon?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Solomon is there. Oh boy, talking to him is he explained to himself explained to me like why things. Dude was wise, man. He was wise.
Yeah, because the Bible says that he's the wisest man that ever lived. So all right, so he's wise.
But that was also his problem. So wise that he was able. This is a whole another subject.
You don't understand. For years, like I love King Solomon. I know he fell and all this stuff, but the last book that he wrote is like he figured it out at the very end.
At the very end. Yeah.
Okay, so could you tell me a little bit about because I've been wanting him to be there.
Solomon is there, and King Saul is
Why wouldn't he be there? Just out of curiosity.
there too. So, but I saw Solomon, and he explained to me that one of the reasons that he felt so short is he had an understanding of how spiritual realm worked, and that he was experimenting with spiritual beings and summoning up spirits and demons used.
So, according to Micah Turnbo, King Solomon was experimenting with summoning spiritual beings and demons, which is the sin of divination, which is pretty widely spoken against by God in the Bible. But not according to Micah Turnbo. According to Micah Turnbo, the wisest man that ever lived, he liked to summon demons.
Using technology from that and creating systems and things like that. But in order for him to get an arrangement with some of these demonic creatures, he had to marry those that were in women that were in those specific teachings. So that's why he had thousands of wives.
Yeah, no, that's not why he had thousands of wives. Do you know why? I know that Micah Turnbo doesn't know what he's talking about, or is making this up as he goes, because that's not in the Bible. I'll tell you what is in the Bible. 1 Kings 11, key verses for today. Now King Solomon loved many foreign women, along with the daughter of Pharaoh, Moabite, Ammonite, Edomite, Sidonian, and Hittite women, from nations concerning which the Lord had said to the people of Israel, you shall not enter into marriage with them, neither shall they with you, for surely they will turn your heart away after their gods. Solomon clung to these in love. He had 700 wives who were princesses. That's a key point. They were princesses, 300 concubines. And his wives turned his heart. For when Solomon was old, his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not wholly truly to the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. So Solomon did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, and did not wholly follow the Lord after David his father had done. Solomon built a high place for Shemosh, the abomination of Moab, and for Molech, the abomination of the Ammonites, on the mountain east of Jerusalem. And so he did for all his foreign wives, who made offerings and sacrificed to their gods. It is widely understood that Solomon, engaging in many forms of carnal wisdom, to keep peace and to prevent, to form alliances, I should say, with Israel, married the princesses, the daughters of the kings of these foreign countries. So he didn't do it because he wanted to gain access to the demon gods that they worshipped. That's the opposite of what happened. What actually happened is because he didn't listen to God and he married these women for his carnal reasons, they then turned him to their gods. But Micah Turnbo flips scripture on its head. It says, no. Solomon told me personally when I was like chilling out in heaven that he was trying to summon demons and foreign gods. And in order to do that, he had to marry people who serve those gods. Except that's nowhere in the Bible.
It was because he married in order for him to get a blessing from that God or from that spiritual being. He had to marry into that.
Yeah, it says no Bible verse anywhere. And it clearly, he wasn't seeking blessings from false gods.
So that's where he was like foolishness crept in, is that he wanted to get understanding. Solomon, he was wise and he wanted understanding of the spiritual world. And that's what's interesting, why even Song of Solomon is such a strange book, because it has its elements of marriage, but then you're like, who are you actually talking about? Because he had an understanding also how an early revelation, how God and his church worked. He was very wise, but his fall was that he mixed himself. And he told me, he said, don't be like me where I mixed myself. I'm mixed to myself with other things besides him, and it caused me to chase after things that just didn't matter. It became vanity. It became meaningless. He said, all that wisdom that I gained that I thought was valuable, he said, nothing, everything is meaningless. He is truth. He is all. He is everything. I remember him telling me that.
Do you now? So, don't lose sight of the fact that what Micah Turnbo is claiming is that he was in heaven somehow, and like had a chat with King Solomon. And King Solomon basically told him like, hey, don't make the mistakes I made, don't go marrying 700 women, just to like secure peace, for your country, because I was like trying to raise demons. 200,000 followers between these two idiots.
So there was with him, and there was a table of kings, so that he was there, and some other kings from other countries of different times were there, and then the presidents were there, and they would.
So let me see if I got this right. So in heaven, on the trip that Micah Turnbo claims to have taken, there was a table of kings set up that included the presidents.
Sit down, they would have discussions with Jesus. And Jesus would be in his kingly attire, But yeah, Solomon is there, and his prayers and his encouragement over us is pretty intense.
So what did he look like?
Solomon, he was tall. He was much taller. He did have a beard, but it was a little bit more like David's beard is very trimmed and very crisp. Solomon's beard is a little bit more full, much more hairy, but not like David's son Absalom. David's son Absalom he had a lot of hair. But Solomon, his hair was shorter, but he had more hair than his father did. But it was kind of like curly. His eyes are darker, not like black, but like dark, kind of like it's like a dark brown, but you can see light. There's light in it. He's very tall, bigger hands, and he's bigger than David. He's taller than David, and shoulders are a lot more broad. But he was wearing this beautiful green, this beautiful layers of green, and he had a crown on. But he had these beautiful layers of green, and he had this ring. He loved rings. He had these rings on his fingers.
Yeah, you remember that verse from Second Prevarications, and King Solomon loved many rings?
Because the kings are dressed wonderfully. But Jesus is the most beautiful of them all, but they're kings, up there. So Solomon is beautiful. He's very handsome.
And how about David? What did David look like?
Yeah.
So David is a little shorter. David has red in his
That's
beard.
what. Yeah, I hear the same thing all the time. Yeah, he's ruddy. The Bible says he's ruddy. Yeah.
Yep, he's red and built. He's very extroverted. So David is, very extroverted, very high charisma. Personality, kind of loud. Just like he's awesome. He's a warrior. Always has been a warrior. Loves adventure. Very musical. Loves music. And he loves poetry. Like so, I've seen David several times.
David wrote the Psalms, so it's not much of a stretch to sit there and say David loved the music. But again, just try not to lose sight of the lunacy of this. That like he's chilling out with Solomon, and David like loves action, and Solomon's shoulders are broad, and
David hang out with the father, and David still writes his music. He still writes music, and he still writes songs and everything to the father, and we still sing some of his new songs. So David is a worship leader. And it's pretty amazing. Yeah, he's definitely a worship leader, but he loves Jesus. He loves to ride his chariot. There's sometimes you can ride chariots there. So David will ride his chariot with his strong horses. And I remember one time I watched David. I was walking through heaven with an angel, and there was a chariot race going on.
Walk through with an angel.
And Jesus was in the chariot race, and I look across the sky, and there are these chariots going across the sky, and I was like, "Is that David?" And they were chariot racing in the sky, and Jesus was part of it.
Yeah, that's absolutely bat poop crazy. So what he's claiming now is while he was on visiting heaven, and this is why I said it's cat cur level lunacy, he witnessed a chariot race in the sky, and two of the participants were King David and Jesus himself. We're just like kicking around, having a few laughs, and participating in a chariot race.
I said to the angel, I said, I want to go. I want to see who wins. And the angel said, no, we have things to do. We can't go watch the chariot race. It was so cool.
Yeah. What? That sounds fun. Okay, so now that you described King Solomon, David, you've even described the Father. What does Jesus look like?
Jesus is very handsome. So Jesus is a darker.
Jesus is very handsome, which is the opposite of what the Bible says. The Bible, when speaking prophecy of who Jesus was going to be, was he was not much to look upon. So again, these hucksters and charlatans, either don't know the Bible or they just don't care, because they realize that they got 200,000 people so far to follow them on these pretend journeys.
Darker complexion. He's Middle East, so he's darker complexion.
So is David. So were all of them. I mean, did you catch that? Well, Jesus was Middle Eastern, so he was darker than David. But David was Middle Eastern too.
And his hair is down to his shoulders, but it's curly. It's got some curls to it. Again, stunning, handsome, stunning, beautiful, strong.
Unbiblical.
And in fact, Jesus' hands are a little bit more rough because I always tell construction workers or those private contractors, like, you guys identify with Jesus because Jesus still works with his hands. He's always been a builder. Just strong. Hands are rough. Her father's hands feel a little softer. Jesus' hands are a little bit more bulky, from working with him. And sometimes he puts his hair he'll pull his hair back. Sometimes his hair will be in a half ponytail where
the humanization of God, just the bringing God down to your level, if not lower. That they're all just kicking around doing chariot races, and Jesus likes to pin his hair back in a ponytail or a man bun or something stupid like that. It is just so insulting on a intellectual level, let alone a spiritual level.
Where it's like that. Because he likes to pull his hair back because he's active. His eyes. Now, his eyes, I've seen Jesus with different kinds of eyes. I've seen Jesus where they're hazel. I've seen them when they're like brown, blue, or green, sometimes like fire. But each time when you see Jesus, and his eyes may change color, because he's so intense, Jesus is very intense. Like when you stand before him and his love is going towards you, it is intense. Like, it's not like, oh, I think you love me. It's like, he is after you. He loves you so much. But his eyes represent what he is feeling or being for you at that moment. So when they're green, he's bringing life. When they're blue, he's moving in wisdom. When they're fiery, he's being very passionate. When they're
just making this up as he goes along.
Sparkling with lightning, flashing with lightning, he's moving in such power. So when they're brown, it's humility. He's showing himself as humble before you.
When they're brown, the creator of the entire universe is humbling himself before you. Aren't you special? This is blasphemous.
So, because some people will say, well, I saw his eyes were green. And some will say, well, his eyes were brown. And they'll say, well, Micah, which is it? And I'm like, all of it.
Yeah.
He's so glorious that his eye color will change because what's happening in his heart just manifests through his eyes.
That's actually really neat, because when I saw Jesus, they were a deep, beautiful blue. But
so apparently Jennifer Bagnashi also has the season pass to heaven and has apparently had a face-to-face with Jesus as well. You do realize that in the Bible, any place, I should say, because there's not many, Paul went to the third heaven, and because of that was given a thorn in his flesh, a messenger from Satan to torment him, to keep him from being conceited for the surpassingly great revelations that he saw. Moses could not ask to see God, and God was like, I'll let my glory pass by you. But not these guys. Micah Turnbo and Jennifer Bagnashi, they got the all access pass. They could just like walk into heaven and see chariot races and chill out with Jesus and see what color his eyes are and hope he's humbling himself before them that day.
And then when I've heard other people, they said they saw it brown. And then I saw other people, eyes of fire. Even the Bible talks about he had eyes of fire. So it's interesting how you describe what each one meant and why. Actually,
yes, it's amazing. And Jesus knows, this is what's cool. Jesus knows exactly what will get you to go. Because he knows how.
Jesus knows exactly what will make you go. Like, he's not enough. You being in the presence of the Son of God, who created everything imaginable in the entire universe by speaking it out of his mouth, is not enough. When John was given revelation, he fell to his knees. There's no reverence. There's no awe. There's just nonsense by two nonsensical people blaspheming God and dragging 200,000 people with them, skipping down the broad path that leads to destruction.
Yeah.
So he knows exactly how to present himself in front of you because he loves watching you go, oh, wow, he's awesome. He's
yeah, that's what the creator of the universe is really into. You thinking he's awesome because of how he looks. Not because of what he did. Not because he's God.
Beautiful. You're like, whoa, I got to talk to this guy. He's awesome. Because he's glorious.
Is there a world that you would be in heaven and you wouldn't want to talk to Jesus? That he has to do something to make you go, wow, I want to talk to this guy?
He made you, so he knows the inner workings of you that will get you to be like, whoa, I got to talk to this guy.
Okay, so Micah, you've mentioned in previous interviews that you actually saw what it looked like when Daniel prayed and there was spiritual warfare hindering the prayer for 21 days. Could you tell us? Take us there.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so after reading Daniel chapter 12, I was reading that over and over again and asking the Lord, what was going on? And so the Lord sometimes will take me into the past and I get to watch these events. And so he took me into...
The Lord will sometimes take me into the past to witness these events. Really.
To the spiritual world. And I wrote about it on my website. It was called, I titled it called The Black Tower. And so I'm with my guardian angel. His name is Eden. Sometimes Eden.
So not only does he have a guardian angel, but he chills with him and he knows him, and his name is Eden. I think the last guy I remember who told us the name of his angel was Todd Bentley, right? The name's escaping me. But he had his own personal angel too. And listen, I did a video a couple of weeks ago about Paula White, who, if you send her $1,000, she promises God will assign to you your own personal angel. Maybe not Eden though, because Eden belongs to Micah.
Eden will take me to places, to tours and things, and sometimes he watches my body if I leave it, but sometimes he will be my escort. So we're walking in this place. It's called the Quagmire, and it's like a nasty, dark bog where it's wet, and we're walking towards this foreboding dark tower, and there's this spiritual being, this deity, Prince of Persia, I believe Persia. I think it was Persia.
Mm-hmm.
He was
Prince of Persia from Daniel, so that's apparently he wasn't sure.
Perched on top of it. And I said, where are we going? And then he told me that we were going to see the events of when Daniel was praying, what went on. And we climb into the tower, and the exact details you'll have to go back and read. But we climb the tower, and we saw Gabriel there that was held back. He was literally trapped. He was injured in the tower, and he could not get through because he was held back. And Michael came in, and Michael is his wings are like bronze. Michael is buff. Michael is huge, straight, long black hair, but his wings are buff, man, and he's strong. He came in and fought against Persia, and then Greece ended up coming in. And Michael ends up fighting, and so that Gabriel can get loose. And Gabriel is a runner. Gabriel is fast. And so when he got free, he ended up going towards Daniel, and that's when he mentioned to Daniel, because of your prayers, I came, as soon as you prayed, I was sent to answer you, but I was held up by princes. And it was true. So I got to see those events of when
the Bible was true.
Gabriel was held back in those moments, and when he burst through and appeared to Daniel, and he gave Daniel the interpretation.
So what was he held up in? Like, was he in a cage? Was he just bound by demons?
He was bound. He was in like a prison, kind of like bound in the tower, caged in, and he was injured. That's when I first learned that angels could be injured in a way, could be stopped in some way. Now angels are far more powerful, than demons and dark spiritual forces, but there are some times where they get held up, where it's, there's warfare preventing them from coming through, and they need assistance. And then Michael, who is the prince over Israel, the guardian over Israel, had to step in so that Gabriel could get through, to give Daniel the message.
So what did the message and or the prayer looks like when it was delivered? What did it look like?
Yeah, so Gabriel had a bronze burning light inside his chest that he was going to give. So everything in heaven is substance. The spiritual world is substance. So the word that was on Gabriel manifested in his chest like light, bronze light. And you could see the prayer that was moving through the spiritual realm into the quagmire that was, in a sense, empowering Michael to come through, because prayer was substance. Now, within this encounter, because I was watching this, this is where it gets real strange, and I'm still trying to figure out myself how.
This is where it gets real strange. Everything before is perfectly normal, but now things are going to get a little strange.
All this works. Well, while I'm in this encounter, I'm watching this. I'm in that moment for watching it, but also there's spiritual warfare that I'm experiencing from demons not wanting me to see. So these demons are trying to come at me and attack me, and Eden has to fend them off. And
good to have a guardian angel with you.
Into this giant, massive white bear and just starts, protecting me.
I can't. All right, so the guardian angel assigned to Micah Turnbo is named Eden, and transforms himself into a giant white bear to fight off the demons who were trying to prevent him from witnessing when Daniel prayed. He is right. Now it got weirder.
From watching. So I had to watch, what was going on with Michael and the princes, the dark princes, and Gabriel, while Eden is protecting me from being attacked from these demons not wanting me to watch. There was a lot going on. I didn't sleep for several days because I was like, I don't know. So, but prayer.
You're right. You don't know.
Prayer has, you can feel it. It's tangible in the spiritual world.
Wow.
Sometimes it gives angels weapons, where prayer will move forward from our mouths, and angels will come down who are assigned from the Father. They'll come down and they'll stand in front of the prayer as it's going out, and the angels will grab it and it changes into a weapon. And they go carrying your prayer as a weapon, or the angel will stand in front of it. So cool. The angel will stand in front of the prayer and it gives them armor. They power up and they'll fly.
They power up. So they're like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, or they, I don't, this is stupid is what it is. I still would like to personally see these 200,000 people so I could slap them, because somebody needs to wake them up. if they're following this nonsense in which nothing biblical is being said, no glory is being brought to God. This is only how wonderful Micah is, and because he has a direct line to heaven, where he chills out with like all the kings of old and the presidents, and gets to watch Jesus' eyes turn colors, and gets to witness past history events, and has his own personal angel turn into like a white bear to defend him.
It's incredible.
Interesting.
Incredible. Or they'll ride, like I tell people, singers and musicians, it's like when you're singing over a country, over a nation, over a situation, it's like these ribbons that come from your mouth. You can see it's like ribbons come from your mouth, and angels will ride on it. They'll ride on the praise, they'll ride on the music.
So when you're praising, which I'm assuming is praising God, your words come out as ribbons, and the angels ride along it and in some cases, then if they confront a prayer, it gives them armor, and if they reach out and grab a prayer, it gives them a weapon, and then they fly away and turn into a white bear. Am I following this?
Music, and it will go all the way to where you're singing. So I tell musicians, if you're singing over a country, it's or a nation, or a city, sing, because it's substance, and angels are riding it to that location. It's incredible. Spiritual world is awesome. When we're praying and the angelic are coming to be part of our of the prayers that's happening, sometimes they get weapons, and sometimes they're being clothed in armor, and to accomplish the mission. Like I remember being in an intercession group, and there were angels there. Several times I've been in it, seeing different things happen in intercession groups. But one intercession group I watched as angels, an army of angels came in, but they didn't have any armor. And they were praying, and these angels were being equipped with armor. And then then I've been in a group where angels were part of this intercessory group, and these intercessors were praying, but they weren't praying with the heart of God, and so these angels weren't moving. And this little girl comes up, and she says the prayer. She says a prayer that was on God's heart, and the angels got fired up, and they went. So prayers is a literal substance in the spiritual realm that does so many things. And sometimes we feel like our prayers are so unanointed, but they have
prayer is superpower. Prayer is like a superpower.
Yes, absolutely. It does something to the spiritual realm. Our feelings don't have to be fully in alignment with what's happening. Even when we pray, we're like, man, I'm tired, but I know I'm just gonna pray. We think I'm like, okay, but powering.
Okay, so you said something else. This is really interesting. Really interesting. It used to be a woman thing, in my opinion, but now everybody's doing it. Gossip.
All right, I'm gonna stop there. She gets into gossip, and he claims that it's vomit in the spirit world, and demons bathe themselves in it. And I'm not kidding, but I think a half an hour of that nonsense was quite enough to make the point. So, guys, I sincerely hope you don't follow people like this. It's the work of discernment when it comes to most false teachers is requires work. It requires to understand theology and do exposition on verses and understand like the motivation of why it is they're doing what they're doing and saying what they're saying. And some are harder to discern than others. Some are, like Dr. Brown's always been very polished, whereas somebody like Mario Murillo is just a psychopath. You can always spot Bill Johnson's idiocy, but sometimes somebody like Joseph Prince can be very convincing and confusing to people, particularly if you don't understand the nuances of his false grace teachings. But this is making Kat Kerr blush. She just said there was a spare body parts room in heaven. I don't recall Kat Kerr saying that she was like witnessing chariot races and, Jesus' eyes turning brown. So he was humbling himself before her and, chilling out with King Solomon. And You know, it's I would say it's amusing, but it's frightening. And what makes it frightening is Micah Turnbo has 10,000 followers, subscribers on YouTube. And Jennifer Bagnaji apparently has 191,000. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people who apparently believe this. They apparently believe that these two people, you know, are more holy, I guess, or connected to God than everybody else in the Bible, because nobody else had these kind of experiences. Even John, who, by the way, last time I checked was an apostle, the apostle Jesus loved, he was given revelation at the end of his life, and that caused him to, prostrate himself before God. You know, I mean, just, read any of the characters from the Old Testament. God could only pass by his glory past Moses, and that caused Moses to basically glow in the dark, right? So, but these two, they must have the old bat phone to heaven, the red phone that Commissioner Gordon had. Pick it up whenever they want to chat with God or King Solomon or whoever else their wickedly deceitful hearts cook up. And then they just hop, I guess, on a shuttle, and and if they got to leave their body, it's not a problem because they have a personal angel who will watch it for them if he's not giving them the actual tour. Plenty of what he said was ridiculously stupid, but plenty of it was also absolutely blasphemous. I sincerely hope, I don't know who these 200,000 people are, but we should be praying for them, that they come out of this darkness. And this is nothing but utter pitch black darkness that will lead all of them to stand before Christ in Matthew 7 and say, Lord, Lord, didn't we follow the guy that, witnessed your chariot races in heaven? Lord, Lord, why? I was told that your eyes were going to be brown and you'd be humbling yourself before me. Why are they filled with fire? Lord, Lord, did I follow the guy who chatted with King Solomon? Away from me. And that's what they'll hear. For I never knew you. Thanks for stopping by. Leave your comments. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe. I don't quite have 200,000 followers yet. Still working on the first 100. Test everything and hold fast.